All right. Well, it's been a few days since I actually had my meeting with Jeremy, so now it's actually time to sit down and do my work. Here, I'm just going to validate that the meeting occurred. We captured it, we recorded it, and we actually have the meeting notes that were summarized on our behalf via the facilitator app and Teams itself. So instead of actually copying and pasting or doing anything with this whatsoever, what I want to do is actually take the simpler path and actually switch over to my IDE. In this case, it's VS Code. I've got GitHub Copilot installed, and with it, I actually have something called workiq installed. So if I just take a look at my tools that I have available for my GitHub Copilot instance, I've got workiq installed here, and it only has two functions. Basically, the first one is accepting the end user license agreement, and the second one is the ask workiq. So I can ask questions about anything inside my Microsoft 365 Copilot instance. So this could be from emails, meetings, files, or any other M365 data. So in my particular case, what I'm going to do is I want to load up this question here and ask it to get the features we need to build out from the meeting that I had with Jeremy on Monday, which was about 2 days ago. So here I'm going to hit enter and let it go. Okay, awesome. Looks like it's returned all the features as part of that meeting for me, and it's summarized a little bit more for clarity and just to be a little bit more succinct. But it was able to capture everything actually that we had agreed upon. All right, fantastic. So what can we do from here? Well, we could just jump right in and just ask it to start writing code based on these features. What I would prefer is to actually follow a spec-driven development approach. And so I've already preloaded or pre-installed something called SpecKit from GitHub. This is actually an opinionated framework to do spec-driven development. And so it has built-in commands for helping me to write what a good spec would look like. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually load up yet another command. I want to call the /speckit.specify, which is a pre-created prompt that came along with SpecKit. And what this will allow me to do is generate a work item, essentially, for each and every one of these features. So I'm going to hit enter here and then see what it does. All right, wonderful. Looks like it's done. It's gone ahead and actually created these branches and actually tied them to the particular specs that it generated as well on my behalf. And what I can do now is I can actually go into the specs that generated in these folders and just review them. So I'm going to collapse the first spec that I wrote, the first feature I wrote, and I'm actually going to go in here and check some of these things, the checklists, the requirements that it generated. Close out my terminal. It was able to do some research to understand what it needed to do and to clarify. And then it also has this spec document to which it's already edited on my behalf. I want to keep the changes. I can also do a preview on the actual document itself, just for a little better human readability. So this is the requirements documentation, and I can also preview, again, the spec document. All right, great. So whether I will go ahead and implement any of these or the agent itself, it's up to me. I can decide that in a little bit. The next thing I would want to do is actually run the plan phase of this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go /plan, speckit plan. And what I'm going to do is please go ahead and plan for feature 002. For feature spec/feature 002. All right, I'm going to let it rip. Okay, great. Looks like it's done again. So it summarized what it's actually done, and it's actually written several files on my behalf. The plan, a quick start, the contract for the API, data model, and some research in order to get a better understanding of what it really needs to do for this particular feature. Okay, fantastic. So the next thing I'm going to run is the task command. So I want to specify task. Okay, and now I'm going to just let it run. It's going to create the task to which I can actually assign to a human or assign to the GitHub Copilot coding agent in github.com or run this locally on my machine as well. It's up to me. All right, once again, it's finished all the creation of the task file itself. It's told me that it's broken it down into 6 distinct phases for feature number 2. And what I can do now at this point is I can, first of all, review the tasks that it's created. I want to keep the changes. I want to keep the changes to the requirements, the spec, keep everything. I'll keep all that's done. And I'm actually going to review the tasks themselves. So what I can do again, open preview. And again, very granular, very well described, very well scoped tasks that I can actually begin to implement. Now, what this means for me is that I can actually run this as a human developer, or probably at this point, what I want to do is assign it to GitHub Copilot to do it for me on my behalf. I've got to go attend some additional meetings, so I won't be able to get to this myself. So the most advantageous way of doing this is to actually call the implement command, and I can actually assign it to cloud, which deploys GitHub Copilot coding agent in github.com. And I can say implement phase 1 in the to-dos found in feature spec 002. And just to make sure, what I'm going to do is I want to pass it the tasks file into this. All right, great. So now here I want to set it off to GitHub Copilot in github.com, otherwise known as the GitHub Copilot coding agent. And away it goes. If I go to GitHub Cloud or github.com to the repository to which this project was created in, I actually go to agents. And if I scroll down just a little bit, I can see that, hey, a minute ago, it actually kickstarted an instance of GitHub Copilot coding agent on my behalf, and it's already begun the work needed. So it's setting up the environment. So if I need it to authenticate to another system or to do other tooling setup, I can do so in here as well. And what I can also do is just see and watch and learn what it is actually doing if I wanted to. But instead, I'm actually going to go off and attend some meetings and come back and check on its work in the future. But that's it for now. GitHub Copilot coding agent is already doing the work, and I can continue to delegate work to it on all the other tasks and all the other features going forward. As you can see, in about, let's say, 30 minutes or so, we've already got quite a bit of work done just from the one meeting that we had with Jeremy, now down to these granular tasks and assigning it to GitHub Copilot. Thanks for watching.